March of 2015, and the closing date for Panorama of 2017 is the 20th of March 2016. Now, I say that to inform the minister as a new minister and to inform the general public that we do that so that we know in March how many bands are taking part the following year, so that when we are doing our budgets for the NCC and the ministry, there are no surprises. So we have adopted that approach about 3 years now, and we continue with that. So the bands are very much aware. It's part of the rules when registration closes. We have, as we know, the single pan part of the Panorama is this weekend. It begins on Friday right here at the North Zone. Next week we have the small and medium again in the zones, and then the following week on the 24th we have the Savannah party, the big show in the semi-finals here. And then we have the finals on, well, the finals of the single pan and small bands. The finals of the single pan and the small bands on Thursday the 4th, and on Saturday the 6th we have the finals of the medium and large right here in the Savannah. One of the things that we have changed, we've had a challenge over the, a rising challenge some years now, where we have what some people who describe themselves as crack shots go into several and various bands. And whilst the rule says one player, one band, they use all sorts of shenanigans to get past the rule. So one of the things we have done with the rules is that we have changed the minimum for every participating steel band, so that the management of the band does not feel pressured to try to make a particular number and therefore engage the services of this crack shot. We have decided that a minimum of 40 players across the board for all conventional bands. So in other words, if you are large, where your maximum is 100 or 120, you can play with a minimum of 40 because you are classified as a large band. So you don't have, if you're a large band and you have 60 players in the yard practicing, you could afford to go with your 60 players, have your tune nice and tight, and you could go forward. Because right here some years ago, Desperados won a Panorama with 65 players. And in those days, you had bands that had an excess of 100. There was no maximum in those days. So we think we're helping the bands by allowing them to play with their group, their team, who they have in the yard. They don't have to go outside looking for help. We also, normally at the semis, we have a panel of 5 judges. We take away the highest and the lowest, and the marks would be out of 3. We've had calls from regions that we should have the same system as occurs in the large, in the finals. In the finals we have 6 judges, and we take out, we remove and alternate, take out the highest and the lowest, and it's out of 300. So we're going to do the same thing at the finals as we do in the semi-finals. We have brought that in line. Right, after the preliminaries, as I said, are held at the various zones. The large bands are judged in their panyards, and there are logistical reasons for that. And then we have, at the semi-finals, we'll have 17 large conventional bands, 14 medium conventional bands, and 20 small conventional bands competing at the Savannah on Sunday the 24th. And that show starts at 9. That's another thing we've done. For the last few years, we tried having the single pan and the small band on the Saturday and the medium and the large on the Sunday. We are going back to something we used to do before, in that we have the small, medium, and large on the one day, but we'll start much earlier. We'll start at 9. Operations from the NCC have already been informed, so we hope to have everything in place for a 9 o'clock start on Sunday the 24th. On Friday the 22nd, the single pans, 32 of them, will have their preliminary at Park Street, just at Victoria Square. So that's one of the other changes that we have made to the program. We have 64 small conventional bands competing in the Panorama. We have 28 medium conventional bands and 17 large conventional bands, 69 single bands. That's the numbers in respect of the bands that would be taking part. In respect of promotions that we may have, normally we do promotions. We have the greens and we have promotions that we do at the finals and so on. That will be spoken of a little later in the program. I'd like to seize the opportunity before I close to just comment on two things. One, when, and I'm not being political here, but when at the end of the elections of 2015 of last year, I made up a wish list immediately. I went to the office the very next morning and I made up a wish list. I haven't typed it out, it's still in my handwriting. All of these things. So I just want to mention one or two of the things on my wish list for the benefit of the minister. And I'll start with number one. Number one is change the name of the ministry. And that was satisfied immediately. I didn't even have to talk about it. Change the name of the ministry from Ministry of the Arts and Multiculturalism, because I am one of those who spoke out against that name multiculturalism, because anybody who knows and understands what multiculturalism means knows that it's not relevant to Trinidad. So I'm making that statement straight up. I would also, of all the other things, one of the things I'd like to mention is that, and there has been some work in that regard, and that is that that the interest groups, Pan, Mass and Calypso, be allowed and supported by the NCC and by the Ministry of the Arts and the government and Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Tourism to develop the Carnival product not only in Trinidad and Tobago, but from a private sector approach, a public-private sector approach throughout the world. There are many Trinidad-style carnivals around the world. We can start with that, and then with some of our visits to countries, in particular the African continent, there's a request for Trinidad-style carnivals because they see it as a carnival that is developed from their people. So they prefer if Trinidad comes and helps them to develop a carnival, and we have seen a few of them already. So that is one of my other wishes. And of course, there's the question of the headquarters, which we hope we will talk about. I heard the Honorable Prime Minister speak about it very early at something down at Invaders at their gala, and also a call, especially, and this call is in particular for this time of austerity. We have made a call with the former government, and we're going to make it to this one, and that is that we seek independence when it comes to money. We have applied for the license to run a lottery, and that is not a national lottery, but an international lottery on which many of our other programs are given. We are going to approach this government for a license to run our own lottery. It would be an international lottery, so that we would not have to be coming to the government for money to do the projects that we have in mind to do. Because the projects that we have in mind to do is not small Mickey Mouse projects, it's $1 million projects, and the government don't have the money to give us to do it. So all we want them to do is give us the license and we'll do it. So, I just want to say one more thing. Immediately we have times of austerity. One of the first things, I was abroad when certain statements were made, and I heard economists immediately begin to talk about cutting money for Carnival. As soon as there's some problem with the economic world, the first thing Trinidad economists try to talk about is cutting money for Carnival. It has happened, it is unfortunate, but the fact of the matter is, Carnival is the biggest revenue earner, dollar for dollar, in the country. Dr. Keaton spoke about it in 2001. He quoted figures that he collated from 1998 Carnival, and his benefit to cost to investment in Carnival was 7-to-1. benefit to cost. I don't know what the benefit to cost is for the oil industry, but I dare to say it is not that high. And also, recently, Dr. Vanas James also did a study of the Carnival and Carnival arts and so on, and the contribution that it makes to the economy of Trinidad and Tobago. And somehow or the other, that is lost with our armchair economists who don't try for 1 minute to understand what Carnival is about and just sit and look at it as just revelry and drinking and playing mass. It's much, much more than that. That is why a lot of countries in the world, a lot of cities in the world, they develop carnivals and they have them because it is economic activity. So with that, I would like to hand over back to my CEO and just wish everybody a happy Carnival. I thank you.
Surratt, who is the Vice President of Trinbago. We are here on Chalk City 91.1 FM at the launch of the National Panorama 2016. We're broadcasting from the VIP lounge of the Queen's Park Savannah. Now we go back to the podium.
Thank you very much.
Further announcements from National Panorama 2016.
The President will come a little after, but we have been hearing Mr. Diaz, and we'll hear Mr. Diaz, but the Minister, like I said, she has to leave. Right, so right about now, right, and as we in the pan world, we usually say, woman is boss. So right about now, we want to invite Honorable Minister. She can't come here and not bring us some words. So, your stage, please.
I want to recognize Mr. Keith Diaz, President of Trinbago, and other executive members of Trinbago. I'd also like to recognize my permanent secretary, Mrs. Vidya Ramkilowan, and other members of staff of the Ministry of Community Development, Culture and the Arts. I would like to recognize Mr. Kenny De Silva, the chairman of the board of the NCC, and other board members of the NCC who are here, as well as staff. The Deputy Mayor of Port of Spain, Mr. Valentine, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, and of course, the members of the media who are here with us. Good evening. I am very happy to be here, a part of this media launch for Panorama, which of course is one of our premier events of Carnival, and it really is a very important part of the Carnival landscape. The Vice President of Trinbago has been very clear on how important Carnival is to the country, and this is a view, of course, that we share at the Ministry. And so, with Panorama being a big part of it, we are also very, very keen to ensure that everything comes off well with the Panorama. I know in our current economic streets, many questions have been asked and are being asked by the media. What effect is this going to have on our Carnival, and how is it going to affect our Carnival? And I'd like to tell you that what it has brought out in many of our cultural practitioners, our organizations, is a desire to ensure that the quality they deliver is not held at ransom because they have decreased funding. And at this point, I want to say very openly to Mr. Keith Diaz and Trinbago, thank you for their efforts at ensuring that even with a decreased budget, they are doing what they need to do to ensure that the Panorama comes off well. And I just want to openly recognize that, Mr. Diaz, and say thank you very much, and encourage everyone else, all the other stakeholders. They are also doing their part to ensure that we have a wonderful Carnival, and I know it will be a wonderful Carnival. And I am very heartened this afternoon by this walkthrough. I've been walking through the grounds and looking at the infrastructure, the physical infrastructure that is underway for the Carnival. Mr. De Silva and his team, the NCC, have been doing a really good job as well of ensuring that our Carnival, which is like a breath of fresh air for our country, does take place with the quality that we expect. And so I am very heartened, and I look forward to a very wonderful Carnival. I look forward to a wonderful Panorama, and just want to take this opportunity to wish everyone the best of the season. I know I'll see much more of everyone seated here, including the media, and I look forward to what is coming in the future in 2016 and onwards. So, God bless.
That is the Minister of Culture, Dr. Nayan Guthrie Dolly, addressing the audience here.
Thank you very much, Madam Minister.
2016
And
launch at the VIP
I
lounge
would
at
just
the
like
Queen's
to
Park Savannah. We're also due to hear from Mr. Keith Diaz, the President of Pan Trinbago, and much more. Now, the Minister is leaving the press conference at this time. She has a very busy schedule. In fact, she was here earlier, and she was, in fact, touring the facility here at the Queen's Park Savannah, and she had a first-hand look at the state of preparations for the event. Now, let's go to Mr. Keith Diaz, the President of Pan Trinbago.
Thank you very much, Mr. Foto. Honorable Minister of Community Development, Culture and the Arts, Dr. the Honorable Nayan Guthrie Dolly, our line minister, the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry, Ms. Ram Kelawan, the Chairman of the NCC, Mr. Kennedy Silva, the CEO of the NCC, Mr. Michael Gaidi, the Deputy Mayor of Port of Spain, Mr. Karen Ballantyne, other members of the NCC, Vice President of Pan Trinbago and Secretary of Pan Trinbago and other executive members, Chairman of the respective regions and members of the committees, our corporate sponsors of Angostura, Caribbean New Media Group, FCL Financial Limited, JetBlue Airlines, Pentaplanes Limited, Blink B Mobile, who are here, and members of the media. Good evening. Today, the Chief Executive of FCM, Mr. Daniel Lambert. I am pleased to have the opportunity at this time to offer warmth of presence and to share with you some thoughts as they affect the National Steel Band Panorama for 2016. For the very first time, we have the corporate sponsors coming on board with us, and we want to show the media that Pan Trinbago has not been sitting from the March of 2015. We have been approaching corporate sector people to come on board with us and share the many thoughts that we have, what we try to build. It is said that culture is the first casualty of times of austerity or times of economic uncertainty. But for those of us who exist in the cultural space, we recognize that these times sharpen creativity and give rise to efficiency. The Steel Band Panorama began in 1963 to present, has been designed to present an experience of excitement and excellence. This is our 53rd Panorama. And I must tell you that we have the largest and longest cultural celebration in the entire Caribbean and the largest percussion festival in the world. There have been some changes in the format, most significantly being the semi-finals, where all conventional bands would face the adjudicators, large, medium, and small. This is where we save some money. Our National Carnival Commission came to Pan Trinbago and our line minister said, what are we doing? We tried different things on a Saturday with small and single pan. The media hit us hard. What are we doing? Nobody's sitting down in the stands. So we said, okay, we'll go back on the road. And that will happen on Sunday at 9 o'clock in the morning, promptly. The 24th, you have the semi-finals from 9 a.m. So I have the small, medium, and I like long time. And we will start promptly, Minister. This would help save some money for the NCC. And we hope that today I was raising some points where our chairman heard what we are trying to do. See, we are showing where we could sit down and be a very meaningful organization and not just come and show nation what we try to do. And we spoke to the Pan people and get clearance on that, Minister. Don't feel we just do the things so hard in meeting. The very short nature of Carnival season has, by means, affected the quality of our musical presentation. Having visited several pioneers, I am satisfied that we are in some simultaneous meal of a Panorama music. And let me tell you what is happening in Panorama time. Everybody is friend photo, themselves. Everybody from a different band. There's war, musical war start. So, early in my symbols, I hinted at the phenomena of creativity in the presence of austerity. But I am constrained to look at the role that the steel pan as a community could play in the economic theater of diversification. This is where we ask the corporate sector to come on board with us. Very much so what we are trying to do today. The time is now that we strive towards making the commercialization of this Panorama, which is the whole thing, of the steel pan, to be the priority item. In the memorandum of understanding with the University of West Indies, Pan Trinbago signed a memorandum of understanding with the university. Because we're looking down the road where our young people could go there and elevate in cultural activities and be doctors and so on. That's where we're going. This is one of our many items of agreement that will work towards a particular goal. Intrinsic to this is the owner of the G-Pan. The G-Pan was patented, which now resides with the government of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Pan Trinbago have written the government, the former that is, and we're still waiting on a word to deal with the patent because we have other things to do. It just has sit down there after 21 years, it's public notice. We have the patent from 17, 18 inches to 30 inches right here in Trinidad and Tobago. Pan is patented in the name of the people of Trinidad and Tobago in 63 countries. Yeah, that's what it is. Another item of importance is the ability to harness the availability of raw material. Pan Trinbago just purchased $285,000 in raw material from the United States to make special pans in conjunction with the University of West Indies, special made, special steel by Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Copeland, that we send to the thing, a special place in Chicago for that. And towards the end of the association now operates a drum making facility at Macoya. Until today, NP want to see the same machine they give us. I think it should hasten to state that. Recently, we put a board in place. They said, yeah, what you want to think? We know what thing. So we put a board in place to do all the things that would make enterprise a success, our enterprise a success. Because we're looking down the road, 40 years from now, our children and our children to come to know what we try to do in business. I hasten to inform you that the board, chaired by Mr. Anthony Tate, a well-reserved man who started the stock exchange in Trinidad and Tobago, that's the chairman of the board and gives us confidence. The recently international conference on Panorama was a success to the extent that the international seaborne community signed into an agreement which created a platform for future economic activities. This organization is the first organization in the entire Caribbean, outside of the Americas, that ever put on an international conference on Panorama. We don't understand how important that was, but we will try. The National Seed Band Panorama over the years has given opportunity to quite a few bands to enter the world commerce. Some has used their winnings to go into transportation business. Some have money in unit trusts. Some of them didn't waste their money. Right? We recognize our member bands have been floundering in the face of sinking windows of opportunity. And because of this, it is planned to enter into a program to enable member bands to develop an all-round basis of development of their panyard and cooperative business and other things that they are looking at. We in Pan Trinbago, ladies and gentlemen, want to thank every single corporate sponsor who come on board with the PAN movement. I want to say to you all, we have over 12,000 members. That generates over 300 and something thousand people. That brings us strong signals of product purchasing. To all you people who come on board with the PAN movement at this time, we want to thank you very much. Because we look at you. You may not see the amount of people here inside. But when we finish this meeting, PAN will say, how much are the sponsor was there? See, they in colloquial term. It's all right. Products will sell. I'm telling you that. I'm giving you the assurance. For an example, I am still a favorite drinker of white rum and puncheon. So, I come from the PAN world. When everybody's drinking anything, that is what my drink is. So, we are happy to have Angostura. Caribbean New Media Group. We had fights. But all the rest refused to come on board with the steel band movement in terms of TV and so on. So we thank them. Or they have other radio groups that come on board. We only have 3 radio stations who give you steel band music throughout the year. Only 3 alone in Trinidad out of 36. FCL for financial helping assistance in planning. JetBlue has come on board with us, giving us, and you will hear from them what they will give us, because we have not forget other people, but they have come on board at this time. Penta Paints has come on board, and Bling Be Mobile. We have still discussing with quite a number of other corporate sponsors, but for the time being, this is who have signed, and we have signed an agreement. You will see some changes as we go along in our other presentation in what we are doing in Trinbago. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you on behalf of all the regions of Trinbago, all the steel bands of our organization, the arrangers, the tuners, the small people, our executive who are working hard, and you, the media. For today, I want to thank you ever so much and wish that God bless our country and bless the steel band movement for what we are today. I thank you very much.
Mr. Keith Diaz, the president of PAN Trinbago, and of course during that speech,
thank you very much.
The commercialization of the steel pan as a priority item at this time. And he also mentioned that in spite of the dire economic circumstances, several corporate bodies, including the Caribbean New Media Group, of which Talk City 91.1 FM is a part, have come on board to assist PAN Trinbago. Right now, there is a little bit of a presentation to the minister, so let's head back to the podium as the introduction is done.
1 year. And somebody told us that there was this little businessman in Port of Spain who said he can help the organization, so we should go to him. His name was Ram Kepalanis. And we went to Mr. Kepalanis and we met with him up on the highway. And he said, I just want to tell you all I like where the PAN going, but there are some people that I will put together to work with you all as we chart a course to have the music festival, which actually was the PAN is Beautiful series. And we actually had 2 folks from the company who we actually sent on board to work with us to ensure that the music festival would have come off, and not only come off, but come off successfully. So 1980 saw this sportscaster, a fellow who we used to listen to after 7 o'clock in the morning and a little after 7 in the evening, reading and telling us whether West Indies lost or the draw. Well, all now he'll be telling me what happened in Australia. However, this gentleman became a friend of the movement, all right, and very soon after that, with the demise of Mr. Ram Kepalanis, he assumed the responsibility of a sports store, and by that I started to sell myself out, and today He is, for the second or third time or fourth time, the chairman of the NCC. He was also the chairman of Pan Trinbago Development, Pan Trinbago's Panvesco. So, Madam Minister, what I'm saying, we have a friend in the chairman of the NCC. So, right about now, I wanted you to stay to hear that. So, Mr. De Silva, can you come and let the minister hear what you had to say in her presence? And don't say anything when she gone. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Richard. It has been a long time. Madam Minister, Nyan Gatsby Dolly, Minister of Community Development, Culture and the Arts, Permanent Secretary, Ms. Kilawan, and members of the ministry staff, President of Pan Trinbago, Mr. Keith Diaz, his Vice President, Mr. Carrot, Richard Foto, who has been a stalwart in Pan, the Deputy Mayor of Port of Spain, Mr. Valentine, President of TUCO, Mr. Masimba, sponsors, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. I want to ask you to put your hands together. This is the most impressive list of sponsors that Pan Trinbago has been able to attract. This has never happened before. In the history of Trinidad and Tobago, from my recollection, and I go many years back. Apart from the Carnival, I have maintained that Pan plays a very important role in the young lives of boys and girls and can be used as a model in terms of containing the level of crime we have in Trinidad and Tobago. You know, I often wonder, as Mr. Diaz said, the membership is about 12,000. Many Pan players, I think a large percentage, young people, if they did not have that meaningful activity of practicing for maybe 6, 8, 10 weeks for Carnival, where would they place those energies that they're able to expend in a panyard? So I am asking sponsors, I know we're not live on radio, it is good to invest in Pan for the future of Trinidad and Tobago. And I feel very moved this afternoon by this backboard here. Extremely moved. I will now have to sit down with Mr. Diaz and reassess his subvention. But on behalf of the National Carnival Commission, let me say that it is my strong belief, I mean from the bottom of my heart, that we will have a good carnival. People in Trinidad and Tobago make Carnival happen, regardless of the circumstances. So once again, thank you. May God bless you all. I'm certain we'll have a good, safe Carnival. And thank you. Good night.
That was Mr. Kenny De Silva, and I beg to differ, but we are live on radio, Chalk City 91.1 FM. We'll have a quick word with him afterwards, just to remind him that his comments were carried live here on Chalk City 91.1 FM. There are still presentations coming up from the consultant Daniel Lambert. We'll also hear from the sponsors who have stepped on board to come up with Pan Trinbago. There'll also be the question and answer session. Finals North Green's allocation plan. So Mr. Lambert, nicely dressed in a dark blue suit with a golden colored tie. He's at the podium right now to address you.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, President of Pan Trinbago, Mr. Keith Diaz, Vice President of Pan Trinbago, Mr. Brian Serrett, other members of the Central Executive of Pan Trinbago, chairman of the various regions of Pan Trinbago. We also would want to recognize very deliberately the corporate partners of Pan Trinbago, because this is one of the fundamental reasons why we are here. We want to recognize Angostura Limited, with their particular spokesperson later on this afternoon, the brand officer marketing, Ms. Samantha Chen Budu Singh. We want to also recognize the Caribbean New Media Group, head of radio programming, Ms. Gail Sigobin. We also want to recognize JetBlue Airways. With us, we have the privilege of the General Manager for Trinidad and Tobago, Mr. Paul Parawan. It's a pleasure to welcome Penta Paints to the group, to this corporate group of partners, Mr. Sean D'Souza, Sales and Marketing Manager, Brand, Penta Paints, Blink B-Mobile, Ms. Camille Campbell, Chief Marketing Officer, and of course, Mr. Ivan Thomas, Senior Business Development Officer of FCL Financial. We take the opportunity similarly to recognize the President of the Trinbago Unified Calypsonians Organization, President Masimba. Pleasure to have you here with us. The media, we are quite thankful for the media also being here, and we say welcome at the same time. It's indeed a pleasure to present to you Panorama 2016, the theme being excitement and excellence. Excitement and excellence, the theme for Panorama 2016. And what I will share with you is some of the concepts and some of the new initiatives associated with two of the critical shows of Pan Trinbago: the National Panorama Semi-Finals and of course the National Panorama Finals. And what are some of the initiatives this year? Now, you would notice some standees, one here, one across there, one behind me, one across there. And what you're seeing on those standees is a concept or a site plan of the North Greens. So we start the discussion with the semi-finals and the North Greens area. The North Greens is one of the areas Pan Trinbago has introduced a series of initiatives, but in terms first of its design, you note below we're also showing you the spiderweb pan. Now, while it's a fringe event, and sometimes some critics say the audience may not be so much involved in the panorama proceedings, the intention is to ensure that the area, the land space that they utilize for the event is reflective of the concept of the steel pan. And in that design, attributed to the pan pioneer, Mr. Anthony Williams, the concept was the arrangement of the notes from the interior, the middle of the pan, and going out to the outer end. And thus the terminology spider web. You're thinking of Pan Trinbago in the introduction of the North Greens, and to at least begin to put some tidings to the participants there in the panorama, is to try to follow a design on that principle. So you'd be able to look at it and see how close, and it's to keep building on it. Now similarly, just as how the notes evolved from the middle, the center, the pan, we will talk about that as one of the highlight areas of the North Greens. In the center, that area, there is a new feature this year in partnership with Blink Be Mobile to provide a Wi-Fi access. Now, when providing that Wi-Fi access in that area, we have termed that the Bacchanal Zone. That will be the Bacchanal Zone in the North Greens. And we tie it with B Mobile to also feel free to call it the B Zone as the partnership develops. In that Bacchanal Zone, it solves one of the problems of prior years. Because of the level of activity in the North Greens, people have difficulty utilizing their cell phones and uploading various things. This is allowing you the opportunity in that area, more than 1,000 patrons at the same time, spanning 30 minutes in participation time, so 30,000 minutes, would be able to enter into that zone, and they would be able to utilize the cell phone. They'll be able to take some selfies, show their friends what's happening in the North Greens, and they'll be able to upload that and send it out. So that it goes out to the world as to what is taking place in the North Greens, and that you're having a good time, that we're fulfilling or transmitting the theme for excitement in an arena that sets standards that are excellent. So consistent with the theme of Pan Trinbago for Panorama 2016. So that's one of the new areas, a Wi-Fi area supported and powered by Pan Trinbago's telecommunications partner, Blink Be Mobile. Now, as you move from there and you go to the outer end, there would be various access points that is named after key stalwarts in the pan industry. But the center point, because it is where the concept is evolving from the spider web, is named after, that is Anthony Williams' circle that is there. And when you walk around after, you'd be able to see the different names of contributors to the industry. So your first major area is the Wi-Fi access. Secondly, as you move to the eastern area, and that is the end where you're seeing those lines, those sort of square boxes, it is a refreshment zone. It's a slightly new feature from the concept that it's elevated. It's on an elevated platform, and it allows patrons to go to that area. Just a slight getaway. You have tent accommodation that again allow you some comfort while you're able to enjoy a meal. And that caters for people who may not be in what we call posses. They may come on their own. That has been one of the drawbacks. People have felt that they can't come to the North Greens if it's just 3 or 4 of them. We're solving that by putting for you the refreshment zone so you could access meals, etc. All the seasonal foods that is appropriate for an arena or an event like that. And of course, emanating from the center area, there is a bar so that you could also have refreshments. The area, what is significant is that patrons would have the opportunity, wherever they are in the North Greens, to have large screens. There'll be 4 large screens that allow individuals the opportunity to look at what is happening on the stage. Now this year, there's a movement further after consultation with the stakeholders, the posse, to put some rules to be able to assist people there and want to do both, to encourage them to listen to the Panorama. There's a traffic lighting system. So the traffic lighting system enhances the wardens that we have there. And what happens with the traffic lighting system is when the band gets to the stage, at that point in time you'll have flashing red lights, giving the leaders of the posse, signaling to them that you should try to get yourself in order, try to tone down. And then as the band begins to perform, the light would be on full red. And of course, after the performance, that changes. And there is an agreement among the stakeholders of the North Greens that we will implement the street strike rule. So if you had to talk to you 3 times you breach, you need to take a little rest. Not that you won't play later on. Take a little rest and get it going again. All right? So that is in the North Greens that would be happening. Also, there will be a location map to assist patrons right at the entrance of the greens, and the location map will capture the information relative to the posses. So it would align it by street and capture the information. So it make it easy for patrons coming to join a posse. The case would be they know exactly where they need to go. There would be 3,000 parking areas for the complete facility, of which about 1,500 would be the North Greens area. Now those will be fully lit in an attempt to treat with the question of safety after the shows, and then of course in securing your parking when you get to the venue. So that's one of the deliberate attempts this year in 2016. All seeking to create the environment of excitement and to set a standard for excellence. And Pan Trinbago is seeking to transmit that in how it rolls out the particular event, this segment, the North Greens, for 2016. So those are the significant developments in the North Greens. The North Stand would be what we are quite accustomed to, but the pulsating songs and rhythms, etc., would characterize the North Stand. And there would be a slight tweak in the admission costs relative to the North Stand, while the other areas remain the same. The grandstand would capture quite a familiar look of over the years relative to the semi-finals. However, the intent is to have much larger screens in the area of the grandstand and the North Stand, so there's a more participatory and it allows a better atmosphere relative to the semi-finals. Now the finals, we want to encourage and we want to use the opportunity with access to the media to really signal the flagship area for the finals, the flagship stand, and to encourage as much people as possible to go to the North Stand and enjoy the all-inclusive ambience. So it's an all-inclusive ambience where you have access to a premium bar, courtesy Angostura, and then you have seasonal foods, bacon shack, doubles, corn soup, the works. No need to walk with your cooler. Or increase as we talk about excellence. It recognizes the role that patrons play and customers play in the development of the product, and as such an adjustment downwards in the price of $400 ticket for those persons on the wing. So Panorama 2016 is intended to transmit that theme. And Pan Trinbago, on behalf of Pan Trinbago, we present Panorama 2016 with the theme Excitement and Excellence.
That was the consultant Daniel Lambert presenting some of the changes for the Panorama Semifinals 2016 North Greens allocation plan. Some parts will be a 20% discount. The North Stand stays at $500 there. So they will continue to make some further announcements here. Mr. Richard Forteau, Secretary of Pan Trinbago Limited, is addressing the audience now. There will be some more musical performances from Mr. Earl Brooks in just a few moments. Plus, we'll get some comments, remarks, presentations, and sponsors from Angostura Limited, Caribbean Media Group, and some of the other sponsors have come on board to allow a lot of sponsors have come on in 2016. Let's take you back to Mr. Richard Forteau, who has just gotten a phone call on the podium.
So come, just come, and plenty Angostura, and B-Mobile is there too. You might even get something from JetBlue. You coming? All right, okay, later. Yes, my friends, this is what we're talking about, excitement. This is what we're talking about. And Pan Trinbago is saying then that we at Pan Trinbago, we will continue to try to bring new things to you as we seek to enhance the product. The North Greens is a place to be. We are going to be ensuring that you have some of the best foods, best everything. So be there. And you are hearing that the settings, the spiderweb pan, you know if maybe but for those of us who have been involved with the steel band for a long time, would understand the setting when we say the spiderweb. And this is why this circle is the Anthony Williams circle, because we were always right, because the pan was wrong. So without further ado, my friends, I just want to tell you all, just a little break. The Panorama actually gets going this Friday. And we are thankful because we have some membership, as Mr. Diaz would have said when he spoke. Once upon a time, it was physical rivalry. Now it's musical rivalry. So it's a musical war. But the Eastern region was to have gone first. Their Panorama was to take place on Friday. But with the launch of a Kaiso tent, and because Pan and Kaiso has been living together, next door neighbors, and sometimes they just take a little rest in each other's house. So we have decided that we can't have Pan and Kaiso the same time in Arima. So the northern region of Pan Trinbago immediately agreed to exchange with the eastern region. So the review could have a launch of the road, and so we will have our Panorama in Port Elizabeth. And I just got the playing positions of the bands who will actually appear. The first Panorama, the launch of Panorama, the actual happening in the paddock come Friday. The first band to perform will be Newton Playboys Steel Symphony, followed by La Famille, followed by La Creole, then Nothing Big, then the Untouchables Pan Groove, Nostrand's Symphony will be next, Belmont Hydax 7, 8 Woodbrook Playboys, 9 City Sun Valley Pan Groove, 10 Gonzales Chicas, 11 Music Makers, 12 TNT Fire Service, 13 Ice Water and Sam. Anybody here connected to that band? Put the hand up. Ice Water and Sam. 14 Unistars. 15 St. James Napoleons. 16 Nile Hill. 17 Trinidad Freelancers. 18 Sila One Love. 19 Worldwide. 20 All Aces. 21 Blanca 47. 22 Spree Simon Harmonics. 23 Harlem Syncopators. 24 Scruntes Pan Groove. 25 TNT Defense Force Steel Orchestra. 26 Stardust. 27 Belmont City Kids. 28 the original Woodbrook Moderneers. Mr. Seretua left out. Brimblers will be 29. Brian, sir. Okay, my friends, so chairman of the region, you just bought this, and Trinidad and Tobago just heard it because it's live on 91.1. Okay, we now have some comments and remarks from the people that we appreciate very much. You sponsors who have agreed to come on board with us as we make this journey. We want to thank each and every one of you who would have sat in your boardrooms and tickled somebody or encouraged them to go this route. So we want to start with Angostura Limited, and we have Mr. Manta Chin Budu Singh, Brand Officer Marketing, to come and bring us some remarks. And while she is coming, Just look at that table across there. We'll see 4 bottles, 6 bottles of rum. That is the steel band. No, it was 6. But watching Mr. Agayadin, I don't know what it is he put it behind. It wasn't 2 bottles, right, Mr. Agayadin? Okay, good. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Photo. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm not sure if we still have members of the Ministry of Community Development, Culture and the Arts here. If you are, good night. President of Pan Trinbago, Mr. Keith Diaz. Vice President, Mr. Sarat. President of TUCO, welcome. Mr. Gaidin, Mr. Lambert. Specially invited guests, media. Good afternoon. Mr. Lambert spoke about mixing excitement and excellence. I love the sound of that theme. I know a little bit about mixing myself, so it's almost as good as some white oak and coconut, you know, a nice mix. I want to say congratulations, first of all, to the hardworking team at Pan Trinbago and, of course, FCL for attaining the level of sponsors, as Mr. De Silva mentioned, is very high this year. I'm honored on behalf of Angostura to be a part of this culture and to support something that is so deeply rooted in the culture of this beautiful Twin Island. I personally sat with Mr. Diaz in the boardroom and shared ideas, as he said, which actually is where the development of those same 6 bottles that you're seeing out there, that's where that came from. If you'll get a chance before your workout, you will see that each of the bottles are themed after different aspects of Panorama. We have the flag woman, we have the engine room, we have the bass pan, the tenor pan, we have the rhythm section. We have some nice ideas, so y'all could take a look. We will actually have those out in stores from this weekend, so y'all could look out for them. Yes, so again, parts of our culture that I certainly hold dear and make up the celebrated festival that is at the heart of our nation. While Angostura is honored to give monetary support to Pan Trinbago, we also share the feeling of joy to give continued support to all of the unsponsored bands. From cash sponsorship to uniforms, various bands have come to us over the years and they continue to come for support. And while we cannot be title sponsors to every band, we like to know that there's a little bit of the spirit of Angostura in as many bands as we can assist. As Mr. Lambert would have mentioned, we will be participating in the North Green semis as well as the North Stand finals. As he also mentioned, we do plan to have a nice presence there, and it's something that everyone can look forward to. I mean, after all, White Oak is the life of the party and the official rum of Carnival, so what's Pan without White Oak? Short and sweet. I'm always excited to hear Mr. Diaz speak about the grand plans and ideas he has for development of the culture. I'm sure the minister heard your pleas and your ideas, and I'm sure you will have continued support from them. And with 190 years of history and culture in Trinidad and Tobago, Angostura will always be on board to support Pan Trinbago. You've been around a little bit longer than we have. Okay.
So that was the words from one of the sponsors, Angostura Limited, and we'll hear from one or two more of the sponsors who are here, including the Caribbean New Media Group. And the Caribbean New Media Group is represented by Gail Sigobin, who is the brand manager, who is the head of radio at Caribbean New Media Group, and formerly brand manager of 91.1 FM. She's going to be addressing the audience at this time.
Good afternoon, everyone. To the Honorable Minister and the Chairman of the NCC, who are no longer with us, President of Pan Trinbago, our Deputy Mayor of Port of Spain, as well as the Executive Pan Trinbago, sponsors and stakeholders. I love the theme of excitement and excellence. That's what you feel every time it's Carnival in Trinidad and Tobago. The air changes. There's a different feeling at Christmas, and it's a very different feeling when it's Carnival time. There's an abandonment, there's creativity, there's excitement. And I think it's a well-chosen theme. And CNMG, who I represent today, is pleased to be associated with Pan Trinbago for the National Festival. We've always been associated with Pan in the live coverage via our television station, CTV, Talk City 91.1, and our sister station, Sweet 100.1 as well. Bearing in mind that this year, this is our second year of this very formal partnership. But I know Mr. Diaz has said we've had our rocky roads, but we continue to support the development of PAN. The chairman of the NCC referred to what PAN does for our young people. It's more than our young people. PAN transcends every age group, from 5 years to 75 years. If you go to the PAN yards, you see a cross-section that is truly Trinidad and Tobago, truly representative of who we are. Every creed and race mixes at Carnival. It's represented in PAN. And CNMG is pleased to be associated with that and will continue to support Pan Trinbago. Do listen out to our look out on television and listen out to our radio station.
Congratulations to all our lucky winners. You've won $27 for every $1 played on the winning mark. Remember,
a support for your band in terms of coming on, texting your favorite band of choice in the Panorama for the finals, and your band has a chance to win a prize, a monetary prize, right? And this year, in keeping with the last 4 years, the monetary prize is $10,000 for the medium band and $10,000 for the large bands. In addition to that, through our technology partner, B-Mobile, the person who would have texted the most votes to the winning band also will be receiving a smartphone courtesy Blink B-Mobile, right? So there's lots of things to, in keeping with the theme, to keep us excited, and again, in terms of rewarding the excellence of the PAN players on that night. Because we all know for the Panorama, we all can't be winners in terms of the bands and stuff like that, but this is also an opportunity for if your band didn't place in your official listing in terms of the first, second, third, or wherever they place, but your band also will have the opportunity to at least be recognized for their effort via the People's Choice. So, in closing, what I would like to do is to continue to appeal to the public to continue to support the program, right? And the program, I'm happy to report, has been growing, increasing in growth in terms of the participation over the past years. And we're hoping then that this year will be no different, and we should see a lot more participation from it. Again, we want to thank our two partners in terms of the CNMG group, who last year would have given us tremendous support in terms of their coverage and their promotion of the promotion, right? And again, we also like to say again, thank you to B-Mobile for being our partner on this program. Thank you.
You're listening to continued coverage of the launch of National Panorama 2016 live from the VIP lounge of the Queen's Park Savannah. Caribbean New Media Group is one of the sponsors of this event. Preparations continue here at the Queen's Park Savannah for Carnival 2016. In fact, there were dozens of carpenters out erecting the large stage on which all of the mass bands and the Calypsonians, all the kings and queens of the Carnival will be performing later on. Let's go back to the podium as we hear some words from one more of the sponsors.
Observing all protocols, I'd like to acknowledge Mr. Forto, Mr. Surratt, Mr. Daniel Lambert, Mr. Keith Diaz, other sponsors, media, and distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, and thank you for the special welcome. I'm honored to be here on behalf of JetBlue. It's nice coming back to Trinidad and Tobago to be home and bring something special back to my home country. JetBlue's mission is to inspire humanity and we work hard to live this mission in every market that we serve. Of course, the mission begins through offering safe, convenient, and reliable flights with outstanding customer service at reasonable fares. We've been doing this for the people of Trinidad and Tobago through our service to New York's JFK and Fort Lauderdale, helping to grow tourism, bringing people together, facilitating reunions between loved ones and friends, and helping create new business connections and opportunities. We also strive to be a good partner in the local community, engaging and supporting activities that they love, one of which is Pan Trinbago. In the spirit of this mission, I'm proud to announce that JetBlue is finalizing our partnership and with Pan Trinbago to be the official U.S. airline of this event. When this agreement is finalized, there will be special benefits to announce to participants. JetBlue is pleased to come on board as a sponsor of this proud tradition of Trinidad and Tobago, one that is known throughout the world and brings well-deserved pride to our home country. This partnership is symbolic of our commitment to the people of this community and their families abroad. We are grateful to the community for its business, and we look forward to strengthening those ties through our service and through our partnerships, such as the ones we are finalizing here with Pan Trinbago. I'd like to take this time to thank you, and I've heard the theme is excitement and excellence. I'm very excited because for me, coming back home to bring something special to Trinidad and Tobago, partnering with an excellent group, I'm excited. So it's a good welcome home for me, and glad we can continue to support a wonderful tradition. Thank you.
Some words from one of the sponsors of JetBlue, and we can also tell you that
Thank you very much,
confirmed
Mr.
Carnival program indicates to us that on Friday, January 8th, that's this Friday, the Northern Regional National Single Pan Preliminaries, that is the first event for 2016. It begins at 6 p.m. at the Palace Queen's Park Savannah in Port of Spain. Then on Saturday, there's the South Central Regional National Single Pan Preliminaries. Then on Sunday, the Eastern Regional Single Pan. And on Monday, Tobago Regional National Single Pan. And that takes place at the Buku Integrated Facility in Tobago. Now, National Conventional Preliminaries for Small and Medium Pan starts on Friday, July 15th. National Large Conventional Judges Visits, they begin on Tuesday, January 19th. And in terms of some of the other bigger events, the National Finals for Medium and Large Bands takes place on February 6th. And the National Junior Panorama Finals takes place on Sunday, January 31st. So it's a packed schedule and a lot coming up, so you can check the Pan Trinbago website for more details. Let's take you back to the podium as we will hear some more words from the Pan Trinbago officials here at the launch of Panorama 2016.
All protocols observed. As you know, steel band is our national instrument. Panorama is a national competition, and I dare say with international appeal. And Penta is a national brand with a very strong regional presence. So it was only befitting, and I say right, that we associated ourselves this year in a more tangible way with Pan Trinbago and the National Panorama Competition. At Answer Coatings, a company which I'm happy to lead, we took note of the recent statements by the Minister of Finance for the state and its ministries to use more local content in state projects. And we also took note of the clarion call for citizens to use more local products in their daily lives. And therefore, as we prepare to receive more from the state and from the citizenry, it is only befitting that we be prepared to give more to PAN and to establish ourselves more into the national fabric of Trinidad and Tobago. Like Angostura, we have provided small sponsorship to many bands over the years as they prepare themselves for Panorama. But this year, we decided to partner with the source and to offer what you will realize will be a contractor's discount to all steel bands participating in the National Panorama competition to participate successfully in the competition by preparing their racks and preparing their pans to look good as they showcase themselves. The musical art form, and by extension, all art forms, manifest themselves not only in sound, but they manifest themselves in color. And at our company, we believe that the essence of color is the essence of life itself. So we are happy to be here. We are happy to partner with Trinbago, and we urge all steel bands to take advantage of the discount which will be disseminated by the Trinbago Secretariat and its executives, and we invite you to participate freely, utilize it, and enjoy yourselves as you prepare for the Panorama competition. Paint with Penta and paint the possibilities for Panorama. Thank you very much.
That's the sponsor, one of the sponsors, Penta there, making some of the announcements. So as I mentioned earlier, the national finals for small and single pan takes place at 6 p.m. at Skinner Park in San Fernando on February 4th. National finals of medium and large takes place at 7 p.m. on Saturday, February 6th at the Queen's Park Savannah in Port of Spain. And there are quite a few other events taking place this year, and we'll mention some more of them. After the Carnival season is over, there is the Champs of Steel Plus, which takes place on February 13th, 8 p.m. at the Queen's Park Savannah. So all of those events you can put down on your calendar. And in case you're wondering about the ticket prices for Panorama, large and medium, $800 Grandstand Special Reserve. Grandstand General is $500. North and East Wings of the Grandstand $400, and the North Stand all-inclusive is $450. So now we're going to hear from the Chief Marketing Officer of Blink B-Mobile, and she is making her way to the podium right now.
Good evening, everyone. Members of the head table and all protocols observed. Well, with all the excitement, excellence, happiness in the room and in the air, TSTT has a distinct pleasure of partnering with Trinbago in support of staging Panorama 2016. As simple and humble as the steel pan may look, our pair, we know it is bountiful. It is a bountiful source of inspiration to innovation. Trinbago continues to innovate in the experience they offer patrons attending the competition, and we are pleased to support, especially with the appropriate technology that makes creating and sharing moments and memories of the experience possible. Blink B-Mobile has traditionally assisted with interactive elements of Panorama, such as People's Choice, Text to Vote, and of course delivering the biggest and the best pan posse experience on the greens. We also sponsor a lot of the unsponsored pan groups as well, and we will continue to do so in 2016. Trinbago must be applauded for continuing and not resting on their laurels of the natural national interest in steel pan. As we know, all consumers have evolving tastes and interests, and it is the responsibility of the promoter to keep up with these changing needs. In 2016, Blink B-Mobile is strengthening its support for improving the Panorama experience for patrons. As mentioned by our chair, a Wi-Fi zone will be installed to enable Pan Trinbago to improve its marketing and promotions via social media, and also for promoting the popularity of the Greens as a place to be for January 24, 2016. Although steel pan enjoys a surge in popularity at Carnival, Blink Mobile is not a fair weather friend of the instrument. Our partnership with software developers over the years has seen the launch of powerful app-based and online pan playing and coaching tools that help introduce more people to the richness of the instrument, and in particularly our youth. The instrument is too important to our culture to be relegated to a season, and as the technology partner of choice for Pan Trinbago, we always feel compelled to use our strengths in that field to show our continued support for this national event, and the national instrument being the only national telecommunications provider. We encourage patrons to come out and enjoy everything traditional and new age that Panorama and Pan has to offer, and we are committed to making the experience one of the most memorable ones for Carnival 2016. I thank you.
That's the representative of Blink B Mobile, and participants will have the opportunity to win smartphones from B Mobile and tickets to the show from Pan Trinbago through a trivia contest facilitated by the Caribbean New Media Group, which of course includes Talk City 91.1 FM. And CNMG is the exclusive broadcaster of the National Panorama 2016. There'll be live audio and video broadcast of Panorama in 2016. And now we're going to hear some more from another one of the sponsors. Don't forget, it's approximately $2.5 million that has been put into Panorama. Let's go back to the podium.
Glad to be here. I'm always thrilled when I get a note from Denise saying that they're looking for continued support, and to be able to make that happen, and once again be able to make that happen on behalf of the Coca-Cola Company. It's always a joy to see the work that goes into making these events successful, and certainly excitement and excellence is the hallmark of what's been happening with Panorama for the longest of while. I don't think it's just happening this year. But congratulations again to the executive and to the Pan Trinbago, to all of the steel band sides participating this year. I mean, I had a chance to go and listen to the pan last night, which was, kind of got the excitement going. So congratulations, and thank you very much for the privilege and honor to be part of this amazing event. And let's hope that, as it grows and expands, and the kind of work that you're doing will also begin to nurture the respect that is richly deserved for the national instrument, much more than it presently gets. Good night, and thank you all very much.
Well, that's a representative from Coca-Cola. So as we mentioned, the partnership between the different media houses and, in fact, CNMG and the other partners for National Panorama 2016 is $2.5 million, and the theme of the 2016 celebration is excitement and excellence. And during this presentation, they have really laid out exactly what's going to happen in 2016. The partnership will facilitate Pan Trinbago's mission to transmit excitement and excellence at this event, as the tuners, arrangers, and panists strive to achieve excellence. They all combine to give the audience satisfaction by the way of excitement. And we do have one more presentation at this time, and we will have some remarks from the National Carnival Bands Association and Trinbago Unified Calypsonians Organization. And Lusano Masimba, Brother Resistance, is here, and he will be addressing the audience at this time. And in fact, I think there's a pop song that somebody is telling me that they did in fact use a rhythm which sounds similar to a song from Brother Resistance. I'll have to check that one out. But here's Brother Resistance at the microphone now. He's just about ready to address you.
Mr. Keith Diaz, President of Pan Trinbago, and all the members of the Central Executive of Pan Trinbago, all the chairman of the regions, and all other protocol, we observe that. Well, I'm not caught by surprise to say a few words, but when steel band playing, you have to take a little chip and die nothing. For me, on a personal note, I always say that in my work with the Trinbago Unified Calatronians Organization, we have always looked up and looked forward to the work that Pan Trinbago has been doing over the years. Pan Trinbago, as an organization within the creative industries, is the organization that has blazed the trail. The kind of licks they get, they deserving. Yeah, they deserving of the kind of licks they get, publicly and in the media and so on. Because where Pan Trinbago pass, nobody did pass before. And so, in our role, in our work in the Calypsonians organization, we hold up Pan Trinbago to a great extent as a role model and a point of reference. And so, a number of things that we do, we feel that the zest and the determination that has been shown by the Steel Band organization is enough to keep us going, even when it looks like if we can't take no more. Even when it looks like if, well, we're living in a nation and we're working in a national service that has no gratitude for what we do. Even when it feels like that, we look to Pan Trinbago and say, hey, if them could keep on doing what they're doing, then who is we? And more than that, if you know your history, you would know that the founders of Pan Trinbago or the Steel Band organization is the same personalities who founded the Calypso organization back then. And we respect that. It's a love, it's a family, it's a one vibration. And so we bring and wish maximum success to Pan Trinbago as they celebrate with excitement and excellence. Hello, we bring in the music for the Steel Band to play, and we love it like that. Stand firm.
Brother Resistance in a well-received short address here at the launch of Panorama 2016. We're just about coming up to the end of the function today. Now, I know there will be some entertainment by Mr. Earl Brooks, but we'll also hear from the public relations officer of Pan Trinbago, that's Mr. Michael Joseph, in just a few moments. But just to remind you, National Panorama 2016 begins this Friday, and the first event, I'll tell you in a moment, it is the start of an awesome season. It is a short season, but it's one that will be well received, I'm sure, once again. It starts on Friday, January 8th at the North Regional National Single Pan Preliminary, 6 p.m. It begins right here at the Paddocks, Queen's Park Savannah in Port of Spain. If you're interested in ticket prices, it's only $60. Then on Saturday, there's the South Central Final, Sunday, Eastern Regional Final, and then on Monday, the Tobago Regional Preliminaries. What am I saying? It's preliminaries, all of those are. Now, in terms of small and medium, they start on Friday, January 15th, with the East National Conventional Pan Preliminaries for small and medium. So we now are coming up to the close of the event itself, so we'll hear from Mr. Michael Joseph, who is the Public Relations Officer of Pan Trinbago. We go to him right now, and I tell you, he's a very huge man. They're going to spend some time adjusting the mic because he's at least 6'5".
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I know you've been here for quite some time and you want to get some refreshments and get out of the place, but they asked me to bring the vote of thanks. And look here how you try to say thanks, you always miss out somebody. And when you go back and sit down, you say, you know, forget to thank this one, thank that one. But I heard a lot of things here this evening, which I do appreciate as a pan man all my life. I hearing things telling me that the steel ban is still going somewhere. We were always going from the beginning. We reach here and we're still going somewhere. You know? So certain things that was not said, I want to say now before I go into saying thanks. Panorama, we appreciate. But Carnival is the national festival. And I'm sorry that the minister is not here this evening to hear this. But I know that Mr. Gardine will carry back the message. We want to get back steel band on the road. We want to get steel band involved in Carnival. Coming down Juve morning, find yourself in a band. I know that Pan Trinbago and the goodly president have been trying by introducing the groovy soca. But that is a small thing. We want to get Pan from Juve to last lap. When you go in the airport, as Brother Photos always say, Carnival Sunday night, you're going to see a lot of people leaving Trinidad because they came for Panorama. We want them to stay here and spend some more money by having the pan on the road from Juve to last lap. Let us encourage the steel band to come back into the Carnival from Juve to last lap. Let corporate Trinidad put some money to encourage the steel bands to come out. A lot of bands practicing all these weeks. And when they pass through the Savannah and the judges mark the X, that's it. They go back to the yard, despondent, there's a blackout. And this is our national festival. This is Carnival. So how could you have so many people alienated from the Carnival itself? Just as Panorama done. We don't want that. We want Carnival into the mass. At this point in time, I want to thank the creator, Olo Domari. I want to thank all the pioneers of the steel band, those who have sacrificed. And when I say sacrifice,
well, that's going to end off our broadcast of the National Panorama, launch of National Panorama 2016 here from the Queen's Park Savannah. It is just before news time, so it's just about that time. We send it back to studio. I'm Vidya Rampal on behalf of Damian Edwards. Thanks so much for joining us here on Talk City 91.1 FM.